I got a promotion. I've got the gavel now. Hey, thanks for serving the country yet again and being willing to do this. It's an incredibly important role. So thanks for taking it on, and for your family, because I know it's a big sacrifice for them.
Thank you for your service.
Would you run your business like they run the DoD right now?
No, but I've had my bad days too.
Yeah, I think we all have. So, well, first off, our nuclear triad was designed and built in the 1950s and 60s, and it's definitely suffering from I would call antique equipment. What are your thoughts on how we can upgrade that and make sure it's ready for a 21st century adversary?
Oh boy, it's super important. It's a tough one. We're way behind. We're way over cost. We're way late. I think we got to bring the best manufacturing and operational people in America on site. Have a heavy recruitment team to work with some of the great people in the Pentagon that understand it, and really have an enormous, detailed, programmatic, focused operational act line by line. What are we going to do? A, B, C, D, E, F, G in detail. I don't have an immediate answer other than let's get the right people on the ground. Let's go at it, look at it with incredible urgency. Let's put a plan together and start getting at it.
Now, I think one of the most important aspects of your role is going to be the overhaul of our acquisition system. I know it's been talked about ad nauseum today, but I think very specifically there are products and capabilities that exist on the shelf that could be bought commercially that have been developed at risk by private companies. And I think one of the biggest errors we made in the last half century in the American defense acquisition process is the government is paying to develop technologies based on specifications that are oftentimes based on past conflicts, and those specifications lag battlefield need, and by the time that equipment is fielded, it's either obsolete or just doesn't work in the first place. So I'd be curious, how do you intend to reform the acquisition system, and are you going to be able to heavily focus on commercially acquiring capabilities that already exist and commercially acquiring technology that's on the shelf already?
Yeah, there's a lot of opportunity on COTS and all the different commercial capabilities, but some of the programs, restrictions, requirements make it impossible for companies to compete with larger defense companies who don't have that capability. They end up being a sub, and they get stuffed as a stub. I think DoD really has to look past the prime contractor, look into what the subs are doing, and take an active role in that relationship, and not rely on the big contractors because they simply can to run these programs simply because they win the overall general contracting bid. We got to get into the programs, the detail of each program. What are our most important programs? What are we missing? Why are we behind cost? What technologies do the sub has that should be promoted, move forward? As a contractor, I got caught in the valley of death all the time. Better technology, no interest of the larger company to use it, doesn't help them, it's not profitable. I think DoD can get in the middle of that to a degree, not on everything, but there's a lot of opportunity to spur the innovation and capabilities of smaller companies, and we got to do it.
Looks like I've been demoted again.
Yes.
So our defense acquisition paradigm is very focused on engineering the highest quality technology and building it oftentimes in a vacuum to the highest engineering specifications. And that's led to a lot of high quality stuff, but oftentimes not a lot of quantity. Our Navy's the smallest it's ever been in modern history. Our Air Force, as we heard, is short on aircraft. There is a quality all its own in quantity. The ability to produce vast quantities to sustain a conflict and sustain supplying our warfighters has a quality all its own. And I think the concept that quantity in and of itself creates quality by iteration and by constant fielding in a very close customer feedback loop, because in this case, our customer is not the procurement officer. Our customer is the lance corporal or the sergeant or the captain on the front line fighting that enemy. And I think we have to reorient the DoD back to the fact that their customer is not the contract officer. It's not the procurement executive. It's not the PEO that's organizing. The customer is the warfighter. And in the small time you have remaining, I'd love to hear your thoughts. How do we return our ability to produce quantity quickly? And how do we ensure that what we're producing is what the warfighter actually needs?
Totally agree, and we better do this urgently because in developing autonomous capabilities, we're going to need mass quantities of drones with a central brain. If we don't achieve that, our national security is at risk. So you've seen it from the private sector. The requirements I keep saying it, I apologize for repeating it, requirements are gold-plated, rigid, inflexible. If a great technology or a great capability is out there and that company doesn't put in a perfectly compliant bid, they're thrown out, versus a compliant bid, which may not meet the technical needs. Let some of the program officers who are really good, let them run with it, a little bit more autonomy. Let them make some decisions on what's best for our country. Loosen up the requirements, make it more based on mission than technical. Less gold-plated, quicker, more nimble. Let's look at what requirements we need up front. The deputy better get into those requirements on the big programs in detail and not delegate that out to everybody else. It all starts with requirements.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.